Today we're diving into the 2026 World Cup. Now, it's officially the most technologically advanced tournament in the history of sports. I mean, it is completely saturated with artificial intelligence, from the locker rooms straight up to the broadcast booth. But there's a catch. There are actually two very different stories playing out behind the scenes of this historic event. And honestly, to really grasp the true impact of all this AI, we've got to look at both of them. $2 million. No, seriously, $2 million. While the tech out on the field is being praised as an absolute marvel, this was the staggering price tag attached to a single ticket on the resale market. So how on earth did we get to a point where going to a soccer game could cost the same as buying a luxury mansion? Well, the answer lies in an algorithm. Section 1. The AI World Cup. So first, let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this thing. This event is massive. We're talking 48 teams spread across 3 host countries, playing a grand total of 104 matches. All of this is expected to be watched by an audience of roughly 6 billion, yes, billion with a B, viewers worldwide. That's basically the entire planet tuning in. And when you're operating on a scale this colossal, you know it becomes the ultimate testing ground for new tech. And FIFA, well, they went all in. They teamed up with Lenovo to build this comprehensive football AI stack. And look, this isn't just your basic run-of-the-mill data tracking. We're talking about semi-automated offside technology so incredibly precise, it can flag a player offside by a margin of just 10 centimeters. On top of that, they've generated AI-scanned 3D digital twins of all 1,200-plus players in the tournament. And honestly, maybe the most impressive part? They introduced something called Football AI Pro. It's a generative AI assistant available directly to coaches, which basically acts as an instant, hyper-intelligent tactical advisor right there on the sidelines. And this brilliantly shows how AI is successfully leveling the playing field. Just think about it for a second. You have debut nations with, very little funding, and suddenly they have access to the exact same elite-level tactical analysis that a billion-dollar federation would normally spend a fortune on. Out on the pitch, this technology is acting as a great equalizer. It's a highly optimistic, genuinely utopian vision of what AI can actually do for the sports. Section 2. Dynamic pricing hits soccer. Okay, now for the flip side. For the first time ever, FIFA unleashed dynamic AI pricing on World Cup tickets. If you're wondering what that is, it's the exact same algorithmic logic that airlines and hotels use. It constantly monitors demand and then adjusts prices in real time. So the higher the demand goes, the higher the algorithm pushes the price. And because this is the World Cup we're talking about, well, the demand was absolutely astronomical. The sheer sticker shock here is just unbelievable. $5,785. That was the price for the absolute cheapest standard ticket to the final match. Just let that sink in for a moment. The cheapest possible seat, literally just to get your foot in the door, cost almost $6,000. But wait, it escalates from there. The more expensive seats quickly blew past $10,990. And incredibly, reports noted that these prices were recorded before they even tripled, all as the algorithm reacted to desperate fans frantically trying to secure their spots. So remember that $2 million ticket we hooked you with earlier? Here's why that really matters. On FIFA's very own resale marketplace, some of these tickets were being listed for over $2 million. And the really critical piece of the puzzle here is that FIFA's organizational structure takes a cut of every single transaction on that marketplace. So the higher the algorithm pushes the initial price, or the higher the resale value climbs, the more the organization benefits. Section 3. The monopoly problem. Now, FIFA's rationale for this is fairly straightforward, and honestly, it's an excuse we're all pretty used to hearing. They argue that the same seat just costs more, simply because more people wanted it that specific moment. They explicitly compared these massive ticket price surges to, say, trying to book a flight right before a major holiday. It's just supply and demand, right? Just governed by an AI. But here's the thing. That airline logic, it actually completely falls apart under scrutiny. Why? Well, because airline dynamic pricing exists in a market with high competition. If one airline is charging way too much, you can just go buy a ticket from a rival airline. But FIFA, they have zero competition. It is a pure monopoly. Literally, nobody else in the world is selling World Cup tickets. You either pay the AI's surging price or you simply don't go. Section 4. Empty seats and investigations. And because of that monopoly, you get this stunning real-world consequence. Just 2 days before kickoff, there were still 180,000 unsold tickets. The AI had priced the tickets so aggressively high that ordinary fans literally couldn't afford them. This left massive blocks of stadium seats entirely empty just 48 hours before the games were even supposed to start. And this wasn't just some minor fan grievance blowing up on social media. No, the situation got so severe that lawmakers in New York and New Jersey actually opened a formal investigation into FIFA's pricing practices. The real-world fallout of this algorithm was suddenly a matter of serious government scrutiny. To make matters worse, this algorithm built a unique and totally severe penalty specifically for international fans. Let's look at the timeline. Months out, the prices are just astronomical. 2 days before, as we just saw, tens of thousands of tickets are sitting empty. And then finally, right on game day, the algorithm realizes it desperately needs to clear out inventory, and the prices crash down to as low as $60. But think about it. If you live overseas, a $60 ticket on the day of the game is totally useless. I mean, it is completely impossible to book an international flight and a hotel at the very last minute. The AI effectively boxed the entire global fan base out of the tournament. A Yahoo Sports expert summarized this whole phenomenon incredibly powerfully, calling it a neoliberalization of soccer, where markets, not fans, not governing bodies, now decide who gets in the stadium. The control has entirely shifted away from the people who actually love the sport and has been handed directly to an optimizing algorithm. Section 5. AI's True Decider. So we're left with this direct, undeniable contrast. On one hand, we have AI on the pitch. It's democratizing the sport, it's giving underfunded debutante teams access to billion-dollar tactical analysis and perfectly objective refereeing. It literally levels the playing field. But on the other hand, we have AI at the box office. It's creating a monopoly, pricing out the actual fans, and leaving hundreds of thousands of seats empty until the last possible second. It is the exact same underlying technology, but it's yielding two completely different outcomes. And this highlights a really vital lesson as we look at the integration of artificial intelligence into our major global events. The story of AI isn't inherently about what the technology is technically capable of doing. The real question in 2026 isn't what AI can do, but who it decides to do it for. Is it working for the users or is it working for the monopoly? That's a question we're definitely going to have to ask a lot more often. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on how we untangle the world's most complex stories. See you next time.